Have you ever felt someone's interest in you, but it was wrapped in mystery, distance, or subtle challenges? You sensed they cared, yet every move seemed like a test, leaving you unsure how to respond. That's the hidden way some people show they're falling for you. They don't chase, they don't beg, and they rarely declare their feelings openly. Instead, they measure, observe, and quietly weigh your presence against their own need for safety and balance. Today, we're going to explore how avoidant individuals test those they are falling for, and why understanding this pattern can change the way you see connection, trust, and intimacy. When an avoidant individual begins to develop feelings for someone, their way of showing interest is often not straightforward. Instead of openly expressing affection or seeking closeness, they tend to create subtle distances, testing the waters to understand how you respond. This behavior is not about disinterest or lack of care. It is a way for them to feel safe while exploring their own emotions. They have a natural fear of being engulfed, of losing themselves in another person, and of being overwhelmed by emotional intensity. By maintaining a careful distance, they create a space where they can observe both themselves and you without feeling pressured to act on their emotions immediately. This distance is a silent measure of the balance between intimacy and independence, a delicate experiment to see if a potential partner respects their need for autonomy. When an avoidant pulls back slightly, it can feel confusing or even frustrating to those who are unfamiliar with this pattern. They might cancel plans, reply slowly, or avoid deeper conversations temporarily. This is not a reflection of your worth or their feelings. Rather, it is a test to see if you are capable of maintaining your composure and independence while they navigate their internal struggle. They want to understand whether your affection is conditional on constant access and validation, or if it can exist in a space that honors their emotional boundaries. The way you respond during these moments tells them a lot about your emotional maturity, patience, and ability to handle tension without becoming overly reactive. Avoidants are keen observers. They notice not just your actions, but also your energy, tone, and consistency. If you react with panic, anger, or desperation, it reinforces their fears that closeness may become suffocating. On the other hand, if you maintain your own rhythm, continue to engage with your life confidently, and respect their space without taking their distance personally, it signals a rare kind of reliability. This is the kind of response that reassures them that they can explore their feelings safely without the risk of losing themselves or being overwhelmed. Over time, this subtle dance of closeness and withdrawal becomes a way for them to measure the depth of your character and the stability of your emotions. It's important to understand that for an avoidant, pulling away is not a game to manipulate or test you cruelly. It is an unconscious strategy rooted in self-preservation and a deep desire for connection without vulnerability turning into chaos. They are learning whether the person they are drawn to can tolerate their fears, respect their independence, and provide a calm, steady presence. Their retreat is often temporary, and it is balanced by moments of engagement that are equally intentional. They may share small insights, show glimpses of vulnerability, or seek interaction in subtle ways, all while maintaining their protective distance. These small gestures are their way of signaling interest while maintaining control over the pace of emotional closeness. Understanding this behavior requires patience and a shift in perspective. Instead of interpreting withdrawal as rejection, it helps to see it as a measure of compatibility and emotional resilience. By recognizing that the avoidance distance is a natural method of testing boundaries, you can respond with composure, empathy, and respect. This allows the connection to develop organically, offering them the security they need to gradually open up. Over time, these moments of subtle distance and testing often reveal a pattern. They are not indifferent, but deeply invested, seeking a relationship where closeness and independence coexist harmoniously. The challenge is not to chase or force closeness, but to demonstrate through steady presence and balanced responses that you are someone they can trust to navigate the delicate tension between intimacy and autonomy. When an avoidant person begins to feel a strong attraction or emotional pull towards someone, their approach to the relationship is cautious, deliberate, and highly observant. Unlike people who openly declare their interest or jump quickly into emotional attachment, avoidants often take a step back to watch and evaluate. This behavior stems from a profound need for security and self-preservation. They fear becoming too entangled in another person's emotions before they fully understand whether the connection is safe, sustainable, and balanced. Every interaction, every word exchanged, and even the smallest gestures are carefully registered in their minds as part of an internal assessment process. They are essentially studying the dynamics, trying to predict whether vulnerability will be met with respect, patience, and understanding, or whether it will be met with pressure, dependency, or emotional intensity that could overwhelm them. During this phase of observation, avoidants may appear distant, reserved, or even disinterested on the surface, but this is misleading. Beneath their calm exterior, they are highly engaged in analyzing the patterns of your behavior. They notice how you handle stress, uncertainty, and emotional depth. They pay attention to whether you respect boundaries, how you react when they pull away, and whether you remain consistent in your words and actions. Every subtle cue becomes a test of your emotional reliability and your capacity to honor their autonomy. They are essentially asking themselves, can I trust this person to handle my complexity? Can I be myself without losing control or being judged? Their observation is not a lack of emotion, but a deeply rooted survival mechanism shaped by past experiences and an internal drive to protect themselves from emotional overwhelm. Avoidants also observe to understand the potential for long-term compatibility. They are less interested in fleeting affection and more focused on whether the relationship can maintain balance over time. This observation phase allows them to gauge whether you are someone who can navigate both closeness and distance without creating conflict. They are evaluating whether your love or interest is conditional or whether it can coexist with their need for personal space. They are looking for evidence that you are capable of being independent, emotionally resilient, and confident, qualities that reassure them they can gradually open up without risking chaos or emotional suffocation. It is common for people interacting with avoidance to misinterpret this cautious observation as indifference, rejection, or lack of interest. However, the reality is the opposite. The avoidant is highly invested, but they are testing the waters to ensure that the emotional environment is safe for them to engage fully. They are internally asking questions like, will this person react calmly if I withdraw? Will they respect my need for space while remaining present? Every interaction is weighed against these unspoken criteria. Their emotional investment grows quietly but steadily as they collect evidence of your patience, stability, and understanding. This process also allows them to maintain a sense of control and emotional equilibrium. By observing first, they protect themselves from situations that could trigger anxiety, fear of engulfment, or feelings of vulnerability they are not yet ready to manage. When they finally decide to move toward commitment, it is not a hasty or impulsive decision. It is a deliberate choice based on careful evaluation. By the time they openly express their feelings or seek deeper connection, they have internally measured your responses and built confidence in the safety of the relationship. Understanding this behavior requires patience and a shift in perspective. Their observation is not a reflection of disinterest or emotional coldness. It is a sign of their need to feel secure before committing. Recognizing and respecting this careful assessment allows the relationship to progress in a way that honors their pace and preserves trust. By staying consistent, respectful, and emotionally grounded during this phase, you demonstrate the qualities they are quietly evaluating, creating the conditions for them to eventually move from cautious observation to genuine emotional engagement. When an avoidant person begins developing feelings, their way of communicating is rarely direct or conventional. They often rely on subtle, indirect cues rather than openly stating their emotions. This pattern is rooted in their deep-seated fear of vulnerability and emotional exposure. Direct expression of feelings can feel like a loss of control, a potential for rejection, or an invitation to become overwhelmed. Instead of confessing attachment or desire outright, they communicate through hints, teasing, minor challenges, or calculated gestures designed to test the waters. Their words and actions are rarely random. Each one serves as a measure to assess how much you are invested, how you respond to uncertainty, and whether you can navigate their emotional complexity without causing tension or panic. This indirect approach can often be confusing or frustrating for someone on the receiving end. You may sense interest yet struggle to pinpoint it because avoidants are cautious about revealing too much too soon. They may initiate conversation inconsistently, sometimes warm and engaging, other times distant or distracted. They might flirt subtly, make jokes that hint at personal interest, or drop statements that test your attentiveness and reaction. These behaviors are not manipulative in the traditional sense. They are protective mechanisms that allow the avoidant to explore intimacy safely. They need to see whether you can recognize and respond to their subtle emotional language without overwhelming them or demanding immediate clarification. Avoidants often rely on observation and indirect cues to gauge emotional readiness. By communicating subtly, they can monitor how you respond to ambiguity. Do you become anxious or clingy? Do you respond with patience, humor, or calm curiosity? Their goal is to understand whether the person they are drawn to can tolerate emotional uncertainty and maintain balance while they gradually open up. Indirect communication also allows them to maintain a sense of autonomy. They can express interest without fully exposing themselves to vulnerability or risking rejection. Each hint or playful challenge is carefully measured to maintain emotional safety, allowing them to navigate intimacy on their terms while still signaling engagement. One of the most important aspects of this pattern is that avoidants are testing the reciprocity and stability of your emotions. They are attuned to whether your responses are consistent, balanced, and emotionally mature. If you respond with composure, subtle acknowledgement, or reciprocal engagement, it reassures them that you are someone who can handle their complexity and respect their boundaries. If, however, you react with panic, frustration, or excessive intensity, it confirms their fear that closeness may lead to emotional overwhelm, causing them to retreat further. The indirect style of communication is therefore not just about safety for themselves. It is also a way to evaluate whether the connection has the potential for longevity and trust. Over time, these indirect signals accumulate into a pattern that reveals the avoidant's growing attachment. While they may never be explicit or overt in their expressions, their consistent but subtle attention demonstrates emotional investment. They may share small personal details selectively, initiate contact in ways that test your attentiveness, or subtly challenge you to engage on a deeper level. Each of these moments is a way of saying, without words, that they are interested yet still cautious. They are learning whether the emotional environment is safe enough for them to move toward vulnerability without feeling exposed or controlled. Understanding this indirect style requires patience and a shift in perspective. It is easy to misinterpret these subtle cues as disinterest, game-playing, or emotional coldness, but in reality, they reflect a careful strategy to protect both themselves and the potential connection. By responding with attentiveness, emotional stability, and measured engagement, You communicate to the avoidant that you can navigate the subtle dance of intimacy and distance. This creates a safe space for them to gradually lower their guard and reveal their feelings more openly over time. Recognizing the purpose behind their indirect communication allows the relationship to progress organically, respecting both their need for autonomy and the growing emotional bond they are quietly cultivating. When an avoidant person starts developing feelings for someone, one of the ways they express and explore their attachment is through subtle tests of emotional stability. Unlike people who wear their hearts on their sleeves, avoidants have an innate need to ensure that the person they are drawn to can handle unpredictability, uncertainty, and moments of tension without reacting in a way that threatens the fragile balance they maintain between closeness and independence. This is not about cruelty or manipulation. It is a protective strategy. Avoidants have learned, often through past experiences, that emotional intensity or overreaction can feel suffocating, overwhelming, or even dangerous to their sense of self. As a result, they quietly observe how you respond under minor stress or when they create small emotional challenges, assessing whether your presence is a stabilizing or destabilizing force in their life. These tests can take many forms, though they are usually subtle and indirect. Avoidants may occasionally withdraw emotionally, communicate inconsistently, or present hypothetical scenarios to gauge your reaction. They might be distant or preoccupied at times, not because of disinterest, but because they want to see if you can maintain calm and confidence in the face of ambiguity. They might introduce minor conflicts, playfully challenge your opinions, or subtly push boundaries to see whether you respond with patience, reasoning, or emotional escalation. Each of these situations is a way for them to measure whether you can hold your own emotionally without demanding that they compromise their need for space or autonomy. The underlying principle is that avoidants are highly sensitive to emotional volatility. If you overreact, become anxious, or attempt to force closeness when they withdraw, it can trigger a deeper fear within them that intimacy equals loss of control. Conversely, if you respond with composure, empathy, and self-assurance, it reassures them that they can engage more openly without feeling trapped or overwhelmed. They are constantly evaluating whether your emotional presence is safe for them, whether it provides reassurance without pressure, and whether it allows them to maintain their sense of self while exploring a deeper connection. Your stability is, in their eyes, a measure of your compatibility, reliability, and long-term potential as a partner. Avoidants often create these tests unconsciously. They are rarely aware that they are setting up scenarios to evaluate your reactions. Instead, it is a natural behavior born from their attachment style and past experiences. They are seeking patterns, trying to understand whether emotional closeness can exist without chaos, and whether the person they are drawn to can provide a sense of calm in the face of uncertainty. Their focus is not on control or manipulation for selfish purposes, but on self-preservation and establishing a secure framework for eventual intimacy. They need to know that you are capable of maintaining balance, responding thoughtfully, and offering steady support without overstepping or overwhelming them. One of the most important aspects of this testing is that it is gradual and measured. Avoidants do not typically overwhelm you with obvious challenges. Instead, they create small, manageable situations that reveal your emotional temperament. They observe how you handle minor setbacks, disagreements, or delays in communication. They watch whether you can respect their boundaries without resentment, whether you can express your feelings without triggering defensiveness, and whether your emotional responses are proportional and grounded. Each positive response builds trust and reassures them that you are someone who can navigate the delicate tension between intimacy and autonomy. Understanding this pattern allows you to respond with patience and awareness. Recognizing that these moments are tests of emotional stability rather than personal attacks shifts the perspective. Instead of reacting with defensiveness or frustration, responding with calm, measured empathy communicates to the avoidant that you are someone who can handle complexity, uncertainty, and gradual closeness. This not only strengthens the bond, but also encourages them to feel safe enough to open up more fully over time. By consistently demonstrating emotional resilience, you help them see that vulnerability does not necessarily equal danger, creating the conditions for deeper trust, connection, and eventual intimacy. When an avoidant individual begins to develop strong feelings for someone, they are highly attuned to the emotional energy and responses of the people around them. One of the ways they evaluate a potential partner is by observing how they react under pressure, uncertainty, or moments of withdrawal. Avoidants are naturally sensitive to intensity, conflict, or overdependence, which can trigger feelings of suffocation or loss of control. Therefore, when someone responds to their subtle tests, distance, or challenges with calmness and composure, it creates a profound sense of reassurance. The avoidant interprets this measured response as a sign that the person is emotionally mature, resilient, and capable of navigating the complexities of their attachment style without panic, desperation, or aggression. Avoidants are instinctively drawn to people who maintain their own balance regardless of the avoidant's fluctuations. If a partner becomes overly anxious, demands constant reassurance, or reacts impulsively to moments of distance, it can reinforce the avoidant's fears of engulfment or instability. On the other hand, when someone demonstrates emotional steadiness, they communicate that closeness can exist without chaos. They show that intimacy does not need to compromise autonomy and that both individuals can maintain a sense of self while growing closer together. Avoidants notice and internalize these cues, often responding with increased trust, curiosity, and openness. Over time, calm and composed responses serve as a form of reward, encouraging them to engage more deeply while maintaining their own boundaries. This response style does not mean passivity or disengagement. Rather, it reflects self-confidence and emotional intelligence. Avoidants are drawn to partners who can express themselves clearly, set boundaries without aggression, and navigate moments of tension with measured understanding. When a partner reacts to withdrawal or subtle testing with composure, it reassures the avoidant that vulnerability is safe. It signals that the relationship has space for both independence and connection, and that emotional closeness will not lead to conflict or loss of control. Essentially, calm and steady responses act as a stabilizing force in the dynamic, allowing the avoidant to explore intimacy gradually without fear of being overwhelmed. Avoidants also pay attention to the way calm responses influence the energy of the interaction. They are highly sensitive to mood, tone, and unspoken signals. When a partner maintains composure, they reduce the unpredictability and intensity that can trigger defensive behaviors. The avoidant observes how emotions are managed, noting whether communication is thoughtful rather than reactive. They are looking for reliability, patience, and balance, qualities that demonstrate the potential for a harmonious and sustainable connection. When these qualities are consistently displayed, it strengthens their sense of security and encourages them to invest more emotionally, slowly lowering the barriers they have built around themselves. It is important to recognize that avoidants often interpret calm and composed behavior as an indication of both emotional intelligence and strength of character. They are naturally drawn to people who do not rely on drama, constant validation, or emotional extremes to maintain the relationship. By responding with measured understanding, you signal that you are capable of managing your own emotions and handling the ups and downs of connection without panic or resentment. This reassurance is critical for an avoidant because it creates an environment in which they can safely explore attachment, trust, and vulnerability. Understanding the importance of calm and composed responses requires empathy and patience. Avoidants are not testing for weakness or dominance, but for the ability to coexist in a relationship that balances closeness with independence. By consistently demonstrating emotional steadiness, you provide a safe framework in which the avoidant can gradually open up. This response style fosters trust, deepens connection, and often acts as the catalyst for a more meaningful, lasting bond. Calmness, patience, and composure become the language through which an avoidant learns that intimacy does not need to be feared, and that the connection can grow naturally without forcing emotional exposure prematurely. When an avoidant individual starts developing deep feelings for someone, they are not simply seeking attention or constant validation. What they truly desire is a form of emotional connection that is balanced, mutual, and free from pressure. Avoidants have a heightened sensitivity to intensity and demand, which can make traditional expressions of love or affection feel overwhelming. For this reason, they often seek relationships in which they can give and receive emotional support at a pace that feels safe and manageable. They are testing to see whether the other person can engage in emotional exchange without turning intimacy into a source of anxiety, control, or dependency. This is not about detachment or coldness, but about creating a dynamic in which trust, respect, and emotional freedom coexist harmoniously. One of the defining characteristics of avoidant behavior is their fear of being engulfed. They worry that expressing vulnerability will lead to loss of autonomy, and they also fear that others' emotional needs might become too intense or demanding. Therefore, when they begin to develop attachment, they are especially attentive to the way the other person responds to emotional closeness. They are looking for signs that their partner can engage sincerely, empathetically, and consistently without applying pressure, guilt, or manipulation. Emotional reciprocity for an avoidant is about give and take, not imbalance. They want to know that if they share a feeling or reveal a vulnerability, it will be met with understanding rather than overwhelming demands. Avoidants often test this dynamic subtly. They might open up in small ways, share minor insecurities, or express needs tentatively, carefully observing the response. How you react in these moments is crucial. If you respond with patience, validation, and calm engagement, you demonstrate that you can hold space for their emotions without demanding more than they are able to give. This reassures the avoidant that they can explore intimacy without being forced into discomfort or confrontation. Conversely, if your response is reactive, judgmental, or pressuring, it reinforces their fears of closeness and can trigger withdrawal, creating distance instead of connection. The avoidant is continuously observing whether emotional reciprocity can exist naturally and without strain. This pattern also highlights the avoidant's desire for balance in relationships. They are drawn to people who can maintain their own emotional stability while being attentive to the needs of others. They value partners who do not overinvest, chase, or manipulate because these behaviors activate their defensive mechanisms. Emotional reciprocity, therefore, is not simply about mutual affection. It is about mutual respect and understanding. Avoidants are seeking a connection where both parties can express feelings, support each other, and navigate challenges together without one person dominating the emotional landscape. They are drawn to calm, grounded, and self-aware partners who can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Understanding this need requires patience and mindfulness. Avoidants are not testing for weakness or indifference, but for the ability to engage in emotional exchanges that feel safe and proportional. By providing consistent, balanced responses to their vulnerabilities, you reinforce the sense that the relationship can grow without pressure, tension, or instability. This creates the conditions for them to gradually lower their defenses and invest more deeply, moving from guarded interest to authentic attachment. They are more likely to commit emotionally when they sense that the connection allows them to maintain autonomy while still being deeply connected. The essence of what an avoidant seeks in emotional reciprocity is the freedom to be themselves, while knowing that their feelings are acknowledged, validated, and met with steadiness. They are not seeking intensity or drama. They are seeking a partnership where vulnerability is welcomed, trust is built slowly, and connection exists without coercion. By respecting this rhythm and engaging in mutual, pressure-free emotional exchange, you create a space where an avoidant can safely experience intimacy, gradually deepen their attachment, and develop a lasting bond rooted in both freedom and emotional closeness. Understanding an avoidant's behavior is not about decoding games or chasing validation. It's about recognizing the language of subtle testing and emotional self-preservation. They create distance, observe carefully, communicate indirectly, test emotional stability, reward calm composure, and seek balanced reciprocity because they want connection without losing themselves. By responding with patience, steadiness, and respect for boundaries, you signal that intimacy can coexist with independence. You create a space where trust grows, walls come down, and authentic attachment emerges. Recognizing these patterns not only helps you navigate relationships with avoidance, but also teaches a universal lesson. True connection is built on understanding, balance, and the gentle art of giving space without losing presence.